Welcome everyone to Concurrent Session B. This session is highlighting YouthForce, the Youth Development Focus Group. Let's start with a bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded, and we ask that participants keep both your audio and video off during the presentation portion of the session. This will protect the bandwidth and hopefully prevent potential issues with lagging. We have several great internships to hear about, so let's get started. Our featured intern presenters are Chelsea Webb, Behavior Coach Intern at Castleman Creek Elementary School in Waco, Texas; Casey Jones, School Liaison Intern with Dewana's Closet in Lake Charles; Katie Rosas, Communications Intern at Campfire National Headquarters in Kansas City, Missouri. We will begin by viewing the video reports they have prepared for us, followed by a Q&A where we will be able to ask focused questions about their specific internship experiences.
Hi, so I'm going to be telling you about my internship experience with Dewana's Closet. So a little bit about Dewana's Closet. It is a nonprofit organization that partners with teachers and schools in the area to provide students in need with items such as supplies, school supplies, backpacks, clothing and uniforms, shoes, socks, even underwear, belts, things like that. And even sometimes other gifts. Like this year we did Easter baskets for the kids at school. And Dewana's also helps teachers with things that they may need. Like I know I deliver cleaning supplies and supply organizers, stuff like that. Dewana also relies on donations from other community organizations in the area that support Dewana's Closet. And so for my internship goal, I really wanted to get a more in-depth view of some of the needs of students in my area. And so here's one of my strategic plans, some of the learning objectives and activities that I did with Dewana. And so the main thing I got to see was the impact on students who receive supplies from Dewana's Closet. I put a little picture of a note that they wrote to her in the organization, just thanking them. And there's hundreds of these, It's so nice to be able to see what I could be a part of and that I could do these things for students in my community as well. So one of the artifacts that I really liked was my infographic. It's a fun, informative way to tell about Dewana's Closet and what they do for the community. Another artifact that I'm really proud of is my public service announcement. I'll go ahead and play that for y'all.
Serving our community connects us with people from diverse backgrounds and allows us to view different perspectives and make a difference in the lives of those around us. This is how one nonprofit organization has worked to support students in their community for the last 5 years. You don't necessarily have to serve in your community to support. Show your support to the organizations that do serve in your community by donating.
So for my reflection, one of the main things is I was able to learn about the need for students in my community. And it also opened up my eyes to the simple things that I was fortunate enough to have. And even with my parents as well. Miss Dewana told me about a story of a little girl. They had gotten her some new shoes. And the next day, the teachers contacted them and said her mother had sold her shoes. And it's like, I cannot imagine my mom doing something like that. And it's so sad to think about other kids that actually go through those things. And so it makes me think about how I can use the resources that I have. I can give to others with what I've been so fortunate to have. So I really enjoyed this experience, and I feel like I've learned so much about not only other people in my community, but myself. I've gotten a little bit better at my communication skills, just speaking with all the ladies. It really helped me come out of my shell. So that was something that I was really excited for them to help me out with personally. And I've just loved helping Juana's Closet and supporting them during my internship. And I definitely plan to go and volunteer, later on, and definitely stay connected with her and bring awareness to their cause, because I truly do believe in it and support it. So, and lastly, a big thank you to Mr. Juana and all of the volunteers who were at the closet also helping out. It was really exciting, me getting to know all of you. And I just really had a fun internship experience. I'm truly so blessed. And thank you to everyone who watched. And I can't wait to see all of yours.
Hey, I'm Katie, and here's a little bit about my internship with Campfire National Headquarters in spring 2021. If you're asking who Campfire is, well, they're a youth development organization that focuses on building relationships, growing empathy, and growing an appreciation for Mother Nature. This is an infographic that Campfire has produced. As you can see, it's a map kind of showing the guiding points of where Campfire is trying to focus with children. So we begin with environmental stewards. And from there, it moves into engaging with the community. And then next, it goes into creating citizens that are capable of leading. And lastly, the hope is that the youth who are involved in camp grow to be professionals in the workforce and be able to use those leadership and that empathy and all these little resources that they've picked up along the way to be positive attributes to their communities. Here's my strategic plan objectives. I picked two of my favorites. The first one is to create content for the councils. So at Campfire National Headquarters, on a monthly basis, they're sending out content to the councils for them to share within their network. So I was able to help alongside of them create a few things to send out, because every month there's a theme. And the next thing that I was involved with is Absolutely Incredible Kid Day. If you want to know about Absolutely Incredible Kid Day, stay tuned, because I have all about that on the next slide. Absolutely Incredible Kid Day is a day that is focused on adults reaching out to the kids that are in their life and just letting them know why they're absolutely incredible. It's about reconnecting, growing relationships, giving words of affirmation, and all this positive stuff. So from working from the headquarters side, though, my job was to reach out to influencer. Not trying to brag, but I got to send Madonna an Instagram message. I'm still holding on to see if she responds, though. Next, I got to write a blog post, and that is published on the national website. So it's something I'm very proud of. And next, I also participated locally. So I got to reach out to some of the youth that are in my life and remind them how they're absolutely incredible. And then lastly, I got to calculate the numbers with the national headquarters staff. So I got to see what the reach was and how the online contributions were, if the influencers participated, and did they help get more people involved. So it was a really neat thing to be a part of. So here you'll see the link. This is my blog post. I got to write all about words of affirmation. So for me, I believe that words of affirmation can make or break a person. And I know that personally, whenever somebody tells me something positive, that really lasts and it makes me feel good. So whenever I think about that and then I put it in a perspective of the youth or teens, obviously they need to hear positive words. So for my blog post, I wanted to focus on what it feels like to hear positive stuff from the people that love us. So I encourage you to check it out. It's on the national website, and it's an article I wrote. Another fun task that I got to be a part of is a social media takeover. Not sure if you're familiar with what that is, but basically I was given all the passwords to the social media accounts, and then I got to take over for a day and give my spin on things. This picture featured is my closeout at the end of the day whenever I was signing off and thanking everybody for paying attention to me. These are also some pictures that I posted on my takeover day. So a big part of Campfire is obviously connecting with nature. In the month of April is learning about our environment. So it was very important for me to be able to say that gardening is what I use to connect with nature. So I made a couple of posts, and these are some pictures from my garden where I got to talk about how gardening is what connects me. Also, during my takeover day, I got to talk about how mentoring is very important to me, and I feel like that's a foundational piece that all kids need in their life. And then there was even a story interview. So Campfire National Headquarters interviewed me and asked me who I was, what I was trying to do, what I'm doing at Campfire, and what my future goals are. So this was a really fun thing to be a part of, and I threw it all out there, and it got to be put on a national website and for the entire network to see. So very excited about this project. Pulling it all together, I wish that we had a campfire where I live. Whenever I think about the time whenever I was growing up, we really needed some organizations with some mentors and some people to kind of love on the kids in my community. So I'm kind of sad knowing that I didn't know what Campfire was until this moment. And what I found is by reaching into the national staff and being a part and engaging in everybody, this is the right kind of influence. This is exactly what I needed in my life. I got to learn about things like diversity and equity and inclusivity that I've never really had deep conversations about, but there I was in a meeting where 15 of us are talking very in depth about what it means to be a fully inclusive organization. I got so many little tidbits here that I'm going to be taking with me forever. I couldn't take enough notes. And I feel like every day I wake up and I further process on a conversation that I had before. So I'm eager to know what all I pull out of this experience. I feel like I've learned an entirely new mindset, and it's given me so much to grow on as I advance my career. Before I close out, I got to give a huge shout out to the national headquarters, but specifically the marketing team. These ladies, I call them legends. We had an inside joke about it, but I got to be honest, they're truly legendary. These ladies pulled me in. They walked me through everything. They helped me out when I stumbled. They gave me some teaching opportunities and learning opportunities. They gave me a voice at the table and totally accepted me, and they valued my opinion, and I could feel it. This was a pure, genuine relationship that I was able to grow from, and because everything was so genuine, I feel like I've just learned so much here. So I'm forever grateful to the national staff and the marketing team for all that they did for me and accepting me the way that they did. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. Take care. Bye.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Webb, and I had the honor of being an intern at Castleman Creek Elementary under the behavior specialist on campus. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about my experience with my internship. So my goals for my internship were to bridge the gap between home and school as far as the students are concerned that have behavior concerns. So I didn't quite get to that point. I really wanted to move further in it, but due to time, it was just not possible. Well, in the moving parts, it just didn't allow enough time to get it all together. I did, however, get to use more of my zones of regulation curriculum that they have on campus. I was already very familiar with it going into my internship, so that was really interesting to see me develop in that area as far as seeing the students and their growth. The zones of regulation just kind of helps students understand their emotions, and it puts it into very simple colors so they can point to a color, and then we can go from there to figure out what steps need to be taken next. Like I mentioned just a second ago, there are a lot of moving parts as far as getting students the resources they need, the tools that they need in order to give them their best opportunity to be as successful as possible during their academic career. So there's 504 meetings and staffings and arts and all of these many things to help students meet the needs that they need in order to move past their emotions in order to control them and that sort of thing. So a lot of moving parts there. With my strategic plan and my metrics, my strategic plan with partnering with the families and schools was my main goal, like I mentioned a second ago. However, I did not get to accomplish this, but it learned so many other facets in order to be able to move forward in accomplishing this once I receive a position on a campus or with a school district. My original metrics were along the same lines. I stepped out to service students and families. Like I said, I did not get to accomplish that, but I did get to meet some other goals, some personal goals that needed to be met in order to achieve future career goals. So I learned that all of the many components, all the different people that make the decisions to come up with one plan for one student. And the staffings, like I mentioned earlier in the arts and the 504s, there's those components where the staff gets together beforehand to go over the plan to make sure that they are all on board with what they present to the parents who become part of the committees for 504s and arts. So the parents have the final say so over it, but we just wanted to present a solid plan to the parents that we feel would be necessary, and to see if they have any suggestions or changes that need to be made in order to implement that plan after the ARDS or 504s. So that was something that I learned. My overall experience looking back on my internship was amazing. I wouldn't have changed anything. If anything, I would have added more to it if I could have, if time had allowed, to build some of my confidence up in areas that I feel weak in. So that was kind of helpful too, just to kind of see and be brought back down to earth a little bit. I had pretty lofty goals going in, but seeing all the many facets that go into it, it just kind of seemed like those were the more important things that I needed to learn throughout my internship. All the many things that are involved in getting a plan together for just one student was amazing to me. I've worked on a school campus for a while now, but the internship shined some light on some areas that I was not aware of. So how many people were involved in getting a plan together, how projects are handled, and when they aren't accepted, that was kind of a blow, but I was told and explained to why those were not accepted, and it made perfect sense. I learned how to talk to administrative staff a little bit better than I had. I got to polish up some of my professionalism that I had needed to polish up before, so that was interesting as well. Here are some projects that I put together for the school. I did a resuscitate relationships. It was all about the zones of regulation for the staff, and it was pretty interesting, and they really loved all of the resources that were created through that. I did a regulation station for students that go along with the zones of regulation, and then just threw out a talk about behavior. How much do you know? How much do you want to learn? How do you want to go about seeing what is all involved? So that was pretty interesting too. My site supervisor was Laura Dietrich. She was amazing. She asked so many challenging questions and just really made my brain work. She was amazing. She pushed me. She did some unexpected spring on evaluations of me throughout the internship just to make sure I'm getting the content correctly. And she was the bomb. She was amazing, and I would highly recommend working under someone like her if you ever in this situation where you work in a school district for a behavior coach. So yep, that was my internship experience, and I hope that it helps future interns. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Wow, those are some great video reports. Now it's time to open up for our Q&A with the interns. Interns, please turn on your cameras now so we can see you. And we ask that all attendees keep your cameras off for the duration of this session so that we can focus on the interns. We also ask that all attendees leave your microphones off unless you are asking a question. This will help keep any unexpected sounds from distracting the rest of the session. If you have a question for one of the interns, please use the raise hand feature and I will call on you to ask that. Raise hand is found in the meeting to the left of the red leaf. You can also raise your hand by clicking Control Shift and if you would prefer to type your question, feel free to type it in the session chat and I will read it aloud. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone that this session is being recorded. I'll start off with a Q&A with a question for Chelsea. What was something that you learned during your internship that was unexpected?
You did say me, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you. So, something that I learned that I didn't already know in my internship is, like I said in my PowerPoint, all the many parts that go into creating just one behavior plan for a student was amazing. There's lots of hoops that have to be jumped through, a lot of red tape that has to be cut, permissions that have to be signed, and just all of those kinds of things. That was new to me. So like I said, I've been working in the school system for 5 years now as an assistant, and then just seeing all of those things come up as the intern was just a little more baffling to me. So there's a app that we all had to download. I'm blanking on the name of it, but all of the ideas that you have and all of the things that you want to put out to the staff alone has to go through that and get approved. So that was what I alluded to in my PowerPoint is not all of my ideas that I wanted to implement got approved through that. So if it was either time didn't allow it, or it was content that they didn't feel needed to go out to the staff. So yeah, that was what I learned in my internship that I didn't already know.
That's a lot. Thank you. The next question I have is for Casey. What is one lesson that you will carry with you into your future career?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So one lesson I did mention about some of the stories that I heard about kids and what they've gone through. Another one was about a little boy. His clothes, they just smelled, and so teacher had contacted Dewanas about getting some new uniforms for him, and they came to find out he wasn't being bathed at home. Whether his parents, just weren't involved, he didn't have anyone to help him. It's so eye-opening. I went to school with some of these people. Dewanas Closet is involved with the elementary, middle, and high schools that I went to. And I look back on my time and I didn't see that. I didn't see those people who were in need. And so it really opened my eyes to how fortunate I am. And it gives me a new outlook on how I see the world. Not everything is right in front of me. Sometimes you have to go the extra step to see a need and be able to meet it. Because the first step, we've learned is recognizing it. And meeting it is a whole nother ballgame. But if you don't see it, you can't meet it. So that's something that I'll definitely take with me, opening my eyes to things that I can't always see easily. You have to sometimes go and look for.
Thank you. And my next question is for Catherine Rosas. What was the hardest part of your internship?
My hardest part was showing up and listening. Obviously, I have big opinions about everything, but honestly, whenever I'm talking, I would be in virtual meetings, and these meetings, the times would vary. So I'd have to kind of shift my entire day if a meeting got pushed back an hour. So that in itself was challenging. But then whenever I'm in these meetings, I'm engaging with people with master's and doctorate degrees who've been in the business 10 or 15 years, who just very well established. So they're starting at like level 7 out of 10, and I'm starting at level 1 over here, and I'm trying to catch up and just be a part and be a voice at the table. So it was really hard for me at times to kind of get on their level and understand where they're coming from and be able to soak that in and then apply knowledge to be able to have something to say in the meetings. Really important to me to participate, to not just be a listener. So I was actively taking notes and Googling things to make sure that I had something of value to bring to this team.
Thank you for that. So I have one last question, and it's for each of you. What advice would you give to the future interns in the focus area of your youth development? And we'll start with Casey.
So my advice would definitely be expect the unexpected. This wasn't my first, me and Miss White, we talked about a bunch of different things, that the internships that I could do. And so this was like the 5th maybe one, and we eventually decided on it, and I wasn't sure about it. I'm focused on youth, but I didn't actually get to meet any of the kids that received anything from Kiwanis Club. So that was one thing I was like, but will I even learn anything? I'm not even involved with youth. But after completing the internship, I wouldn't have picked any other one. So it was definitely the best thing for me personally. I feel like I still learn so much, and it's always about, you don't always have to meet the people you help, but I was able to hear about stories of, the kids that I did help. And so that's one thing. Don't be dead set on something, because you might end up getting something completely opposite that is perfect for you. So
that's great advice. So next, I'm going to ask Chelsea Webb. What is some advice that you would give to the future interns?
Kind of piggybacking off of Casey is expect the unexpected. Like I said in the PowerPoint, I went in with some pretty lofty goals, and some of them were not met, and that was kind of hard to take in, but was quickly replaced with things that I should know before leaving the comforts of a degree or college. So just being open-minded, like she said as well, to learning new things and being able to just roll with the punches would be my advice to fellow interns, just to kind of get an idea of what it's like. Just try to take it all in, learn as much as you can. You may have an agenda, but that agenda may have to change as situations arise. And just ask as many questions as you can. And we all have heard the term, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And in an internship, that is so true. Ask the questions, because that is where the way you learn and how you gain more knowledge to take with you in your career and your next steps moving forward.
Thank you so much. My next question, the same question, is to Catherine Roses. What advice would you give to future interns in the focus area of youth development?
My advice is actually the first piece of advice that I got whenever I worked at Campfire. That's probably the piece of advice that I give, and it's just show up. Just show up when you need to. And then, like Chelsea said, ask the right questions, and there's no stupid questions. So if you give it your all, you're going to get something out of it. It doesn't matter. Like for me, I had no contact with kids either, so I can totally relate to Casey on that. But it wasn't really about me working with kids directly, because what I was doing was working for an organization that is reaching out to councils that are having an effect on families and children. So it was, a couple steps before we got to the kids, but still ultimately about strengthening families. So I would say just give it your all, show up, be there, and ask a billion questions, and then also do your research on the organization. Like, know where you're walking into. So thanks.
Thank you. Ms. White, you have a question?
I do. So y'all should expect me to have questions. And so first I want to make an observation that the three of y'all represent three different aspects of youth programming, right? We have Chelsea, who was extremely hands-on with the kids that she was working with. And then we have Casey, who wasn't hands-on, but you engaged with the schools all the time, right? Which was their world. And then Katie is up at a different level, a different place where she's not, again, connected directly to the kids, but she made a huge impact on how kids were being reached. And so I think it's really neat that y'all were able to work together throughout the semester from three different perspectives in different ways that you connected. I really liked what Casey was just saying about the journey it took to get her to her placement, because it did take quite some time to make it work. And so I guess I would like Casey maybe to talk a little bit about what were some of the apprehensions that you had going into that placement, not really knowing much about it and not really being happy with me about the organization. Can you talk about that?
So, me personally, I'm like a shy person. I relate best with kids, I feel like. So that's definitely why my focus has always been kids. I'm more comfortable around them, I can have fun with them and be silly. When it comes to like serious conversations with my peers and adults, sometimes I get really nervous and I'm really weird. So my first day of my internship, I show up and it's all these older ladies who are like in their 50s, 60s, and they all know each other and they're very good friends. They've been working together 5 years. A lot of them have taught together. And so they just have this click kind of together. And I'm like, hi. And so it was really hard, but I've mentioned before, they had been nothing but kind to me, and they tried to include me. Miss Dewana has even told me before, when we're talking, you can come and listen. It's not a secret, Some stuff I didn't get, and so there was a lady, Miss Tawana there, Tawana with a T, so that was funny. She would always give me like the backstory of what they were talking about and explain like who another person was, so I could kind of understand. And so each one of them made a special impact on me and included me. They never made me feel awkward or weird or like I didn't get along with them. And so that was something like I feel like they helped me with my communication skills. I was able to open up a little bit and work on that. That was really exciting. So even though I didn't get to interact with kids like I thought would be like the best, it ended up being just perfect for me personally. And so there's always chances I'll have. I'm young. There's so many chances I may get to work with kids in the future, but this chance won't always come. And so it was really special for that, and it was really exciting.
Ms. White, you have another question?
I do. Casey, thank you. That was a great response. I really appreciate that. So, in Chelsea's situation, she came in to the consultation knowing what she wanted up front. So there was not really much of a question there. We know that that wasn't really the case necessarily with everyone else. So, Katie, what was it like for you? Similar to the question I just asked Casey, what was it like for you going into this organization that you knew nothing about? Was it intimidating? What were those kind of concerns that you may have had at the beginning? And what would you have changed about the introduction into the internship?
So, Campfire was very new to me. I had never heard anything about it. And I knew that it was a big deal because Miss White told me that it was a big deal. And honestly, the last couple of semesters have kind of just been a whirlwind. So what I regret is not doing my research on the organization, because I was going in at the first day thinking I had a lot to bring to the table and I was going to have all these great ideas that I was going to be able to just help this team launched to a new level. And then whenever I got in the meeting, I was like, holy moly, they are a billion times more professional than me. Like, these people are like very intense. They don't mean to be. They are very loving and, you know, accepting and all that. But their conversations were not like, let's make people feel good. They were just so much more advanced. I've never had a conversation of inclusivity to the depth that we would have in here. And we would have 15 people talking about an entire, like, a mission statement for the organization, and they're breaking apart 2 words that say, you know, excellent care or something. And people are just really diving in. What does excellent mean? And what is the definition of excellent? And it would just get so technical on a level that just blew my mind. I never had so many conversations about words. So with that, I think that I wish that I had done a little bit more research on the front end. And I'm glad that I'm a competent individual that was able to just take in everything I could find from the website and just rapid fire read and learn about it. And then I don't remember what other questions she had affiliated with that.
What is there anything you would have done differently or would have liked to have been done differently about your integration into that place?
I wish that maybe like my first week I would have been led to the trainings, because it was I didn't really get into the learning lab trainings, which are the trainings that Campfire does for their staff and the council heads. I didn't really get into that until about a month in the program. So, and then also due to some personal situations, I missed out on like an all staff meeting, and they only have those once a month. So I had been around for maybe nearly 6 weeks before I called an all staff meeting. So whenever I was able to see everybody together, hosting these conversations together, and then pull it together with the trainings, I was finally able to like put this piece together with that piece and make it all make sense. But I feel like I was kind of lost for a bit. So I wish I would have dove straight into the trainings on week 1.
Great, thank you.
All right, it looks like we're about out of time for this session. Thank you all for your participation and for asking great questions, and a big thank you to our wonderful presenters for sharing their internship experiences with us. When I end this session, you will be back in the channel where you originally entered this session. I encourage you to review the conference schedule, then join us in another session. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope to see you soon in the next session.